Snowy Splendor, Short Story Book 1, written by Naseem Achakzai. The title short story is Snowy Splendor, Story 10. There once was a young king. He was smart and intelligent king. His world and life was different from the bodily structure of human beings. His nation was created in a pair of males and females like the human beings and animals are. But this young king with his people was not visible to human naked eyes. They were invisible creatures. The natural and common human being could not see them. They all existed and had life like we human beings have. They had the same life and activities like we have on planet Earth. They also share the same objects and facilities of life on Earth we human beings enjoy. The only difference was that they were invisible nation. Their duration of life was the same what the humans have. Secondly, they had the same 5 senses of vision, hearing, smelling, touch and taste. Just because of this faculty, they also had quest for knowledge. They would also ask questions of how and why. They had their moving social, political and artistic life with a powerful advancement in science and technology. Their touch and tone of presence was rather strong. Their senses were powerful. They were more sensitive than the human beings were. It was sunset time. The needle of the second in the wristwatch of the young king was moving in its normal speed. It was showing the same speed and movement of time on planet Earth. The young king had newly been crowned. His father, the old king, had died a month ago. Now the young king was crowned happily. His whole nation had paid a rich tribute on his crowning ceremony. Each one of his nation, either male or female, with their kids and had presented him flowers, songs and dances. He was too dear to all of them. They knew that the young king was a nice person. Right now the king had a problem. He had to marry. His mother was waiting for his answer and decision. It was a tradition in them that the newly crowned king had to be married as soon as he was crowned. He had to be married the next day, but he was not prepared mentally, nor had a decision or selection of a girl yet. He was silent. He could not decide what to tell to his mother. He wanted to be away from this task. He did not know how to be away or escape from this event of marriage he was not prepared for. The sun had already sat down. It was late night now. All existing forces and objects were asleep. There was full darkness everywhere. A sort of change was taking place in the body and mind of the young king. It was like all important changes take their parts and places in complete darkness. A tiny spark in shape of a dot was visible in that darkness. That spark was coming from the light-up room of the young king. It showed as though the young king was not asleep yet. He was the only awakened soul in the whole darkness, who was busy in finding out the answer of one of the questions, but his nation did not know about the problem he had. The question of his disturbance was related to the water of the rivulet that ran naturally near to his castle. He wanted to find out the very beginning and the source of the spring. The young king had already asked many teachers, philosophers, even the greatest chemists of his country. No one could tell the source of the natural and clear water of the spring that flew so smoothly and peacefully on the surface of the earth. When his father ruled his country, he met great travelers and inventors in the court and asked them the same question. No one could inform or satisfy him about the exact source of the running stream. Night passed away peacefully. It was early in the morning. The sun was going to rise for the next day of life again. The young king desired to put the splash of fresh and cold water on his face, but he was not allowed to do so. That was one of his limitations. He came out of his chamber. His mother and 2 young sisters were still asleep. Most of his servants were asleep too, or they were just getting up to start the day of new life. His guards were standing alert. They were awakened, standing on their selected spots. The young king crossed them all. He came out in the open field of his castle's courtyard. He looked at the beauty and freshness of another dawn. Then he moved to have a walk in the garden. The touch of fresh air and the fragrance of flowers made him happy. He listened to the songs of the birds. The songs were nicely tuned. All birds followed in musical notes. They were the poets. These birds were the musicians of his garden. The young king crossed the waves of fragrance. He also passed away the songs of the birds behind him. He came nearer to the water of the running stream. Sitting quietly on one stone near to the water, he felt peace and calm. That peace and calm was the beauty of that present time. Eyes meet. Hi, why are you looking at me like that? Asked the running water of the stream. Wow, how could you address me? Asked the young king surprisingly. I had to, because you deserve to be addressed now. The reason of my response is that you are sincere in your feelings. You have developed your inner power to be connected. You have crossed the experiences of fragrance and songs, replied the water of the stream. I see, said the young king. The young king became too much happy. He had an inner sensation about the experience that he could communicate water. But I'm still incomplete, said the young king. Incompletion is part of life. Maintain and understand it. Try to communicate your incompletion. It will move you ahead. It will turn you into a force. You have to learn to live with it, but enjoy it, answered the water. But I can't. I want to be completed. I want to be satisfied in my heart. I want to be happy in my soul, even in my mind, if I can, said the young king. Well, that's another part of an extra experience. That's another stage. If you achieve that stage and standard, you will try to get another stage. That never ends as long as you live, answered the water. I want to get that state whatever happens. I do not care. I am confident to achieve it, answered the young king with a strong confirmation. Let me know if I could help you. What do you want to get? Inquired the water. I want to know about the source you came from. I want to touch the beginning you take start from, answered the young king. My source? My beginning? Asked the water. The water was extremely surprised to hear it from the young king. Exactly. Yes, I want to know the very beginning of you. You are water. You are the very source of life, replied the young king. But that is very, very difficult for you to know it. You are made of sulfur and salt. First of all, you cannot enjoy on me. You cannot journey on me. Secondly, you cannot travel against my waves and movements. Look at me. If anything falls at me that runs away from the point of its fall ahead to the end of my flow, if that is a leaf, a straw, or a piece of wood or paper, they can meet my end. My beginning for all these objects is the very spot and time they touch me. But they cannot find my beginning. The beginning of everything is sacred. It is difficult. It is also impossible to do so, replied the stream of water. Can I have a state of not to become mixed up with you? I also want to have a journey against your waves to find out your source. I want to see, I want to feel the point you take start from, answered the young king. Yes, possibility of this state exists. That needs hard work and labor. You have to go through another test that can be achieved through an adventure, answered the water. Adventure? What kind of adventure? I am ready for any kind of adventure, replied the young king in a confirmed way. But that adventure cannot be accomplished without a mean or help. You have to take the help of few materials, answered the water. Can it not be done without the help of those materials? Asked the young king. That can be done, but that needs another state of body and mind. You are not in that state yet. You have to improve, you have to achieve, you have to get a power to be in that state. That state will enable you to move against the running course of reality. Then you can run on water without any means or objects. Then you can move without any kind of help, answered the water. I got it. The young king became happy to know that there was possibility of another state to move against any kind of running water. There was a way to move on running course of life without seeking assistance of any worldly object. But the last question, please. Who can help me to provide the vessel or means of material to take this journey? Asked the young king. There is a blacksmith. His name is Turjan. He is the young master of 3 colors, black, white and red. Turjan can help you. You have to meet him secretly. No one should ever know about your meeting. Secondly, you have to give him honor more than great princes, because he deserves it, answered the water, observing silence. The young king started looking at the running waves of fresh spring. To look at fresh water is great. It shows life in movement. He decided to meet the blacksmith Turjan in the silence of darkness in privacy. If he had called him to see and meet him, that would have disclosed the matter of his power to his people. Secondly, he wanted to honor the blacksmith to go personally. Actually, he was going to seek blacksmith's help. In the meantime, the young king heard jingling of small rings that the females wear around their feet. His eyes followed the direction that the sound of the rings were coming from. The young king saw one of the minister's beautiful daughter, Dunya. Dunya was coming near to him. Dunya came and stood by him with downcast eyes. My lord, your mother asked me to see you if you are feeling well, said Dunya. Dunya was called the symbol of beauty. She was awarded the title of the beauty queen. The mother of the young king desired her son to select Dunya as his wife. Dunya lifted her eyes up. The young king looked in her eyes, but they both felt separated. They both felt disconnected from each other. They found no attraction in each other's personalities. Dunya only paid her respect to him. He was the king. He was also young. He was a good-looking young man. It seemed as though she did not love him. On the other hand, the young king also paid her respect because she was a woman. A woman must be respected. He respected each woman of his nation. So, for as his love was concerned, that was knowledge. He was in love with knowledge only. This was the reason he did not want to marry right now. He wanted to have his education first. The mother queen had asked Dunya to find out if the young king liked her. Or if not, she should at least find out the female personality the young king liked or loved. Nevertheless, the young king had a strong and sober style and manner. Dunya could never find a way to become frank with him. She could not get the secret of his love from him. Have you come here to find me? Asked the young king. Yes, And the Honorable Mother Queen asked me to see you, my lord, answered Dunya. You have seen me. Maybe it is enough for you to see me. If you have seen me, then you might have found me. I'm okay. I'm always feeling well. Tell my mother that I'm busy in a research work. I've got a task to fulfill. I cannot take any decision to marry a girl yet. Tell her to wait till I make my mind, answered the young king. He started in the direction of his chamber. My lord, I will, said Dunya. The young king heard her voice behind him. Oh yes, Dunya, if you ever try to find me out where I am, you have to ask from a blacksmith. His name is Turjan. He will tell you where I am. Remember it, that you have to keep it a secret. You yourself should not try to meet me where I am. Okay? Said the young king without turning his face. The young king walked away. He could just listen the words of her acceptance and obedience, that, my lord, I shall follow your instructions. The young king observed silence as usual in his room. He had a complete rest. When he got up fresh in the evening, he wore common cloth of common people, not to be recognized as a king. He wrapped a big black shawl around him. He came out of his castle. His common dress and the covering black shawl changed him. Change gave him the appearance of a common man. He came out through his secret door. That door was used only by him. That secret door would open to the beginning of the city. His nation was one of the happiest nations of the world. All his countrymen and women lived happily. They lived satisfied with their children. Everyone participated happily and actively in country's construction works. They would all enjoy playing and dancing in the night. They neither had war nor anger with other nations, particularly with their neighboring countries, nor they ever tried to fight in between one another. Every one of them lived peacefully in the circle of their peaceful selected piece of life. It was the sound of the footsteps of the young king that echoed on the open streets of his great city. He was wrapped in a black shawl. No one recognized him that he was a king. He crossed many streets looking at his happy people. After a few minutes, while walking down one of the streets, he asked the address of the blacksmith Turjan from an old man. The old man pointed out at one of the streets with his old trembling hand. The young king at last found an old house. It was a muddy house the blacksmith Turjan lived in with his old mother. That was one of the ancient and classical doors of the wood the young king knocked at with its oldest and rusty chain. My king, my lord, cried the blacksmith Turjan as he opened the door. Turjan murmured his words of welcome with a bowing head of honor. The blacksmith recognized the young king in first sight. You have got such a nice picture of your memory that recognized me even in this costume, said the young king with a smiling face. Your honor, I'm an artist. I'm a blacksmith. I have got eyes and I know how to use them. How can I forget your face? Come in, my lord, said Turjan with love and respect. They both entered in the light of a burning torch in Turjan's hand. Turjan's house was one of the biggest and oldest houses with many rooms. The blacksmith Turjan wanted the king to come inside his guest room, but the young king desired to see his forge and factory where the blacksmith worked. The blacksmith had no hesitation to show him his forge. He was proud of his well-practiced art, perfection, hard work, and labor. Great. It is like a large factory. It's well equipped. It contains all kinds of equipments. Have you built it yourself? Wow, impressive, said the young king. The king kept looking at blacksmith's forge. His forge was full of all kinds of equipments and technical tools. That place was a large hall, like one of the largest dance halls. Each technical tool was fixed properly on its proper fixed place. My lord, this forge is my world. Your honor call it factory. This factory was built 300 years ago by one of my great-grandfathers. My father, who died 10 years ago, also worked in this factory. My father taught me how to be master of my art. Now I am following his trade with love and respect, my lord, answered Turjan, offering the king one of the wooden chairs. The young king sat comfortably, looking with appreciating eyes all over the room. I need your help, my dear blacksmith, said the young king. You could have asked me to visit your place, my honor, pleaded Turjan. Not at all. It was I who needed you and your help. Your honor is too dear to me. You, being the master of your skilled trade, you, being the artist of your art, deserve your valuable place. You deserve the value of your honor. If I am the king of my nation, you are the king of yours. We should pay respect to our trades and authorities, answered the young king. Order me, my lord, said Turjan, bowing his head down. You have to promise me not to tell or to reveal it to anyone. You don't have to talk about this matter. It is between you and me only, until you are directly asked about me. If someone asks you about me, it means that I have allowed him or her to ask you about me, okay? You will know it yourself if someone comes to you and asks you about me, right? Said the young king. I got it, my lord. I'll keep it more secret than my heart and soul, sir. Let me know in what way I can help you, inquired Turjan. Let me know first if you are really the master of three colors, in black, white, and red, asked the young king. Yes, my lord, I am. These three colors are symbols. They mean iron, silver, and gold. I am well trained in iron, silver, and gold, answered Turjan. Then I have decided to travel against the waves of water. I am informed that you are the one who can enable me to complete this journey, said the young king. My lord, I can make a special kind of boat. Once my great-grandfather taught me how to make it. Nevertheless, my grandfather also warned me about the danger of this journey. If it is not accomplished well, then it will kill that who leaves it incomplete. It is dangerous for you, sir. It can take your life away, my lord. My lord, we are made of salt and sulfur. A single drop of water can destroy our lives. We are so fragile. If someone tries the boat of iron, silver, and gold on the highest level of speed can reach on his selected spot. But that also needs a balance in speed. It needs a special kind of education in control, answered Turjan, pointing out about the risk that the young king was going to take. The blacksmith could not directly warn the young king. It seemed as though the blacksmith had completely clarified each and every point in detail. Despite that, the young king could not give up his idea of journeying against the waves. Waves were tricky, tricks misguide, but the young king mentally and physically was prepared for it. The young king ordered the blacksmith to make that special kind of boat for his journey as soon as possible. He already knew that he had a lot of training in patience and balance that would have enabled him to have control over the speed of that unique boat. The blacksmith told to the young king that the demanded boat would be able to accomplish the journey of 10 years in a single night. In that kind of speed, the young king could have finished the journey of 30 years in 24 hours. Now, it was clear to the young king that if he had been successful in his idea, that would merely be a matter of 1 or 2 days. The journey of just 2 days would have shown him absent from his kingdom. If he had lost or had been killed, then he would disappear from his kingship and throne forever. Or if he gets successful, then he would certainly return within the span of 1 or 2 days. Nevertheless, this brief journey of 48 hours was going to overcome the journey of 48 years. It was a strange journey. This strange journey was full of adventure. The young king loved to go through this adventure, an adventure that could have killed the king. The beauty of the adventure was that the young king was going to travel against the waves of water. No one could ever done it in the history of his entire nation. The night fell down again. It was necessary for the king to have a complete rest to meet the difficult task of the coming journey. On the other hand, the blacksmith had already started working in his forge. Blacksmith Turjan was master of his art. He was also confident of his skill. He knew how to meet the imagined target of his work. He knew that he would make the boat of the standard his king demanded. The blacksmith was dead sure that he would make the boat in time. He was quite sure to create the standard without wasting a single moment. Turjan worked all night. At last, he completed the boat in time. When the first rays of the sun hit the windows of his forge, he loaded the ship in a big cart. The cart was driven by 4 horses. As the king reached on the appointed place near to the running water, he saw that the blacksmith was already present on the decided spot and time. The blacksmith had fulfilled his promise. Great. It means you are not only a great artist, you are also a man of your words, said the young king. The king produced a sealed envelope from his pocket. Keep this sealed letter with yourself. If I return successfully within the space of 1 or 2 days, then you will give this back to me. Or if I never return, then the nation needs a king. You will read this letter to the people of my country. Whatever I have written in this letter will be accepted by the people of my country, said the young king, giving the letter to Turjan. My lord, I shall obey your command, said Turjan. The blacksmith showed to the young king how to work with the boat, particularly how to keep it controlled. The young king followed the whole mechanism within no time. He understood all instructions. He had no problem to remember all those points. The young king confidently started his boat. He came over the surface of the water. He started his journey against the waves of the running stream. The blacksmith waved him goodbye. Within no time, the young king and his boat disappeared on the surface of the silent running spring. As the young king started his journey against the waves of water, it seemed to him as though all worldly communication had become stopped, as though the time had stopped too. The entire visible scene of life turned into complete darkness. Darkness remains the dominant force of present moment. The only thing the young king could understand was that it was a journey in black. He had to close his eyes for a moment. The journey of that single moment had crossed hundreds of miles. On the other hand, Turjan started back to his forge. No one knew about the young king's journey except Turjan. But Turjan was warned not to tell it to anyone until he was asked. Light of the bright day had completed its journey till evening. The bright day turned into a black night again. One day of life had been finished again. It was time of rest for the blacksmith when he heard a knock at his door. He was quite surprised to listen to a knock at that hour of the night. The blacksmith opened the door. He found that a nice young lady was waiting at his door. "Hi," said Thorjan. "Good evening. Are you the blacksmith?" asked the young lady. "Yes, I am." "I'm not the blacksmith. I'm simply a blacksmith," answered Thorjan. "I'm the daughter of the minister. I would like to ask you a few questions about the king. If you could please allow me," requested the young lady. "Please come in. You're welcome inside my house," said Thorjan, showing her the way in. When they both came inside the hall of his skill, she looked into his eyes. She found a strange kind of force and attraction in his black eyes. She could not escape from the magic that Thorjan had in his eyes. Thorjan would create and feel a kind of contact, whatever or whosoever he looked at. "Yes, my honorable lady, tell me, I don't know if I can do something for you," asked the blacksmith. The young lady was totally covered in a black shawl. She put the shawl off. Blacksmith Thorjan was surprised to see that the young lady wore extremely expensive and beautiful dress. Her dress contained the work of silver and gold. Now, Thorjan looked at her from head to foot. She was a piece of beauty. Beauty speaks. Thorjan felt the touch of love in her eyes. He was moved by her eyes. That touch stirred his whole body. His soul, first time in his life, moved in his connecting eyes. They both remained silent. They did not know how the night passed away in that moving silence. It was cock's crow they both listened to. They both came into their senses back. My goodness, how the night passed away. It passed within no time. "Actually, my name is Dunya. I am minister's daughter, but how the night passed away," cried Dunya, who was the daughter of the minister. "Yeah, it's strange. It always passes away if you lose its contact. How both of us could not feel the passage of night. How it passed within no time. We both do not know." "I am Thorjan," answered Thorjan. "Actually, I came to ask you where the king has gone, because the king had told me that I should inquire you if I needed. He is not in his chamber, nor could I find him in his garden." "Do you know where he is?" asked Dunya. "He's gone on journey. His honor ordered me to keep it a secret. I told you because you asked me. You were allowed to ask me. As a matter of fact, I didn't know that such beauty would ask me about king's secret," said Thorjan. Dunya could feel the touch and message of love in his words. "Where? Where has the king gone?" asked Dunya. "I don't know myself where he has gone," said Thorjan. "To tell you the truth, I didn't know either that such a nice and impressive personality would keep the secret of the king, and that impressive personality would turn into my ideal," said Dunya. "I feel great. I feel fortunate being a blacksmith, but I feel more proud of keeping the secret of such an important question," said Thorjan. They both laughed. There was a newborn of love in their laughter. They felt happiness of being in love with each other. "Well, morning has reached onto our heads. The people will discover me here. I don't want to make any problem for my family right now. I'm going now. I'll come back tonight, but tell me when the king will come back," asked Dunya. "I don't know. Maybe in 2 or 3 days. You have to keep the secret of his absence, if you can. A state of keeping secret will award us both," said Thorjan. Okay. It is too difficult for a woman to keep a secret, but it is related to the life and honor of the king. It is related to his security. It is connected to his honor's kingship. If you ask me this, I shall try my level best to keep it as secret as possible, said Dunya. She put her shawl hurriedly on her body, she covered her old body, and she went out. Thorjan accompanied her to the door. Wait for me in the night, said Dunya while going to disappear in the street. I'll be waiting all my life, said Thorjan. She could not hear his words because she was disappeared. It seemed to the young king as though he had journeyed for many hours, since he had left in complete darkness. How long it exactly had lasted, he did not know. In the sequence of last few hours, the young king had felt as though the existing reality of his time and space had been changed into various kinds of mixed lights in which blue and green were visible. He felt as though he had physically as well as mentally been changed into a living force. Everything was quiet and cool. He opened his eyes. He saw that he was able to see, but he could not hear anything. There was dead silence everywhere. His boat had stopped. There was no water around him. The whole surrounding was totally white. That was pure white. Then he realized it was all white snow as far as his eyes could see. There was nothing else. It was only white snow. The white snow was stretching out in hundreds of miles in all four directions. He ran here and there, but he did not melt. He moved without melting or mixing into white snow. It was an improvement. He tried to find out a living object. The more he ran, the more he found his body on the same spot. At last he stopped. He lay down on white snow. Now he understood that this existing silence meant as there was no living object. Nothing could produce a sound for him to be listened. After previous darkness, now it was the journey of a white snow of white color. His body and mind were crossed from black. Now his body and mind were struck up in a white. Now he felt relaxed and confident. There was no fear in his mind. He felt illumined inside. He felt like he was transformed into a complete white. It seemed as though he had met his target. He had discovered the source of the running spring. It was this white snow. This sense of information and its practice had changed him. During the achievement of this piece of information, the young king had totally been changed. Presently, he could see that the daughter of the minister, Dunya, was dancing in a garden. It was a smile that grew like a flower on young king's face. He could see, he could observe his own smile. His own mind had turned into a clean mirror. The mirror of his forceful and reflecting mind showed him his face touching smiles to him. He had turned into a mirror. Even he could see his recently produced smile that was like a color. His smile danced on the surface of pure white snow. "You are welcome here, my dear," an unknown voice echoed. "Who are you?" asked the young king. "I am the sun. I give light to your universe," answered the rays of the sun. "Wow, I'm so lucky that I can talk to the sun," said the young king happily. "Now you are able to talk to everyone. You can talk to everything. You can contact and connect things. You can see anything you want. You are in the system of whole mechanism of solar system. Whatever comes in front of you will be communicated to you. Everything can be translated to you. You can travel through light. You can travel through each object. You are inside. You are outside of each and everything. Nevertheless, you have to achieve your last state of power. That power will enable you to travel back to anywhere you want. You can go back home with the help of this last state," answered the sun. "What's that? Which kind of state is that? Will I have to go another step ahead? Asked the young king. Yes. There is always another step ahead, another state ahead. There is always another ground or opportunity ahead. You can always improve if you want. There always exists an opportunity of the next. Here on this planet, nothing is everlasting here. You will always find the next, but not the last, added the son. Great. You are intelligent, said the young king. All objects can be intelligent if they know how to change and transfer. Intelligence exists. It's just a matter of development, said the son. What will be the next? Asked the young king again. You will have to be crossed. You have to go through the beams of the moon. As you have crossed through my rays, the beams of the moon mixed up with my rays will transfer you into Mercury. Then you will have the power of movement, to move without getting or seeking help of an agent. You will move without help of an object. You will travel yourself. You will move yourself to travel back without a boat, answered the son. Everything was clear to the king now. He could understand well what the son meant of transforming into Mercury. That would be marvelous, thought the young king. It was a perfect time for the young king to make his mind and body relaxed. He put his mind on ease. He closed his eyes with a smile. Smile was the key. Time had passed away. The young king opened his eyes. It was evening again. He was laying on the same spot. Now, far away, the beams of the bright moon had started touching the white snow from the east. The young king felt a strange kind of movement in his mind and body. A kind of change started working in his whole body. His mind stirred. He felt as though he was crossing from white into complete red fire. He looked at his mirror-like hands. He observed his transparent feet. His hands and feet had all disappeared. They were not visible. Only he could feel their existence. His hands and feet were part of his body, but right now he could not see them. There was a nice and smooth laughter in the air. "Hey, it's me, the moon," said the moon, addressing the young king. "I knew I would meet you," answered the young king confidently. "Now, you will know many things before time. You are transferred bodily into a Mercury. This is why you cannot see your crystal clear body, because everything is white here. When you go back to common and normal colors of life, you will see your own body. Your people will see you in a normal body and colors of your worldly dress. But your strength and force will be different from them. You will have the force of quality of a Mercury. You will have the power of entering in each living and non-living objects. You will see. You will hear what common people cannot see and hear. Presently, you are able to move freely. You can move without help. Without the help of an object, answered the moon. Thanks to all of you, said the young king. But he could hear no answer of the moon. Silence ruled everywhere. He became alone. This kind of loneliness was terrible first time. He tried to move. He tried to see. He moved his head to hear being a Mercury. Wow! Cried the young king. He flew in and outside of the surface of the white snow. He had complete control on his translucent self as well as on earthly objects. He moved within no time. He flew through snow fields, from east to west, from north to south, from green valleys and deserts of the world to the greatest oceans and rivers. That journey was within no time. At last he came back where his boat had been stuck up. A few yards away, the same spring had the beginning he had stopped his traveling. The young king took his course back. He moved on the surface of water without any boat. He could move like a bright silver light inside and outside the water. He moved back to his garden within no time. He reached on to the spot he had started his journey the previous day. Nothing had changed. Everything was the same. Everything was just as actual as he had left them. The entire drama of his travel had taken place just within the passage of not more than 24 hours. The young king had just left the previous morning. Now it is the night of the next day. He looked at the moon with a smiling face and started moving into his chamber. The young king wanted to sleep or to keep this state of his mind and body as a secret. On the other side of the reality, he knew the only person who could have felt a change in his self was the young blacksmith. And the young king also knew that the young blacksmith was a nice boy. That was okay. At present, the young king moved like a liquid. No guards could see him when he was passing them. No wall or any object could stop him. He was totally changed himself into an invisible being. He entered in his mother's room. She was in deep sleep. He came back to his own chamber. He settled his body properly on his bed to become visible for common people. He could do that without any problem. As a matter of fact, the young king was now able to move and change his body the way he wanted. That force had become one of the qualities of his life. Night developed. The night reached on the mid of its journey. Then the blacksmith heard a soft knock at his door. He was waiting for this knock, and he had lit many torches of burning flames in the honor of his beloved Dunya. The blacksmith impatiently forwarded his hand and opened the door. Dunya was standing at the threshold. He showed Dunya directly to the hall. She had covered her body with a black shawl. The blacksmith could not believe looking at the beauty of Dunya. Beauty moves. She walked down. My world, my Dunya, you have got such a real and nice name. You are really my Dunya. You are the daughter of this earth. My beauty, said Turjan. He pointed her to sit down, but she did not seem to sit. She put her shawl off. She moved dancing in the hall like a butterfly. They started looking at each other. She was surprised to see that each corner of the huge hall of blacksmith's forge was decorated and sparkled with burning flames. She seemed as though she was dancing inside. Blacksmith had already brought various kinds of juices and drinks for that occasion. It seemed as though she had no interest to take anything else, but remained dancing. Looking at things around the hall, her steps were moving in a rhythmical way like she was literally dancing. And you? What is your name? Asked Dunya. I would like to be called the blacksmith. I love my trade. I love my station of my present life. My name is Turjan, replied Turjan. A nice answer with a nice name, said Dunya in a lovely manner. She came nearer to Turjan in a dancing position. Do you dance? I would like to dance with you, here on the very floor of your forge, said Dunya. My pleasure. Let me show you how to dance, said Turjan. Really? Asked Dunya surprisingly. I could not dance since ages, but I know how to dance. I know how to make someone to dance, said Turjan. You will now. We'll both dance with the burning flame of these torches, said Dunya. She forwarded her hand to him. The blacksmith held a burning torch in his left hand. With the right hand he held Dunya. They both started dancing. Dunya had full command in dance. She could surprisingly find that blacksmith was rather better than her. The burning flames of the torch moved from hand to hand. Burning torches were moving from blacksmith's to Dunya's hand. Dunya had selected Turjan as her life partner on the very first sight they met. On the other hand, it was impossible for a girl of high level to marry a low-standard man. Nevertheless, she was ready to take all kinds of risks to achieve her selection. Turjan was her first and last love. On the very next day, the young king ordered to attend his court to rule his nation with a new prospect of intelligence, to give justice in the light of complete truth he had found. Truth needs to be assigned. Truth needs ground. The young king knew it how to assign a truth with justice. First of all, he met his mother when she saw that her son had been changed. Her son had been changed totally into a bright light. She desired to find out a match for her son. She promised her son that she would never insist him to marry. He was free to marry when he wanted, or whenever he finds the right girl. In the evening, near to sunset, the young king called Dunya. She could not see in young king's eyes. She could understand that the young king had achieved another state of knowledge he had journeyed for. She was quite sure of the king's knowledge. She was silent, she looking down to the earth. In the meantime, the young blacksmith Turjan entered to return the letter the young king had given to be kept a secret. "Can my dear friend stand here with Dunya?" said the young king with happiness to Turjan. Turjan could not believe his words. He came near to Dunya. He stood with her side by side. He gave the letter back to the young king. The young king took the letter. The young king showed it to the fire. The text of the letter remained as secret as it was, which contained an order that if the young king had never returned, then the blacksmith was allowed an order to rule the nation. But the secret of this order remained a secret forever. It was burnt. The secret flew away like a fire into black smoke. Everything went on according to the plan and good intentions. "I know you both like each other. You love each other. You are both prepared to marry. I accept and honor your decisions. You will be married the next month," said the young king. Dunya and Turjan could not believe their ears. They did not know that their problem would be solved so easily. The young king knew all. The young king would enter into light to know the secret of their hearts. He would read their minds. The young king wanted to do justice with his nation. He did it. Dunya and the blacksmith bowed their heads down to give respect. They both paid thanks and left happily homes. Hands join. Dunya was holding Turjan's hand. She seemed so happy. Turjan also remained extremely happy on the higher level of love with Dunya. The young king became happy too. He saw that two hearts have found each other. If the blacksmith and Dunya were on the higher level of love, then the young king was on the higher level of reality and truth. That was the higher level of consciousness the young king served his nation with.